Okay, fair warning, I'm about to geek out. Here's the word of the day, recapitulation. A recapitulation. I love the word. Here's what it means. When you have, like in the Old Testament, a person, a figure, a festival, and it shows up again in the person of Jesus in the New Testament, where Jesus fulfills that. Let me give you an example. Jesus was how long in the wilderness? 40 days. And that represents Israel in the wilderness for how long? 40 years. Now, it wasn't just that Jesus was abbreviating the time. He was recapitulating the time to do it right. How long should Israel have been in the wilderness? Not 40 years. It takes 40 days, even with crutches and old men, to walk from Egypt to Israel. In fact, they did get there in the 40 days, and they sent in the spies to check out the land. And the spies came back and said, man, their walls are tall and their people are hefty and their weapons are sharp. And so the people listened to the 10 spies who said nay, rather than the 2 who said yay. And God said, okay, if you don't believe, 40 years until everyone of that generation dies out. Jesus comes along in the wilderness, representing all of Israel in his own person, and he does it right in 40 days. That's recapitulation, and we see it everywhere. For example, Abraham was asked by God to sacrifice his son Isaac, and he takes him up to the mountain of Moriah, and he's getting ready to sacrifice him, and God stays his hand. He's got the knife, he's ready. And he says, Abraham, look in the thicket there. And there was a ram in the thicket. Well, that really foreshadows Matthew 26, where there's another hill, same hill actually, another day, another father, another son, but this time, the lamb in the thicket and the son to be slain were one and the same. That's recapitulation. Or David wants to build a temple, and God says, no, your son Solomon has to build the temple, and Solomon built this magnificent temple. It was destroyed. And so they rebuilt the temple, and it was going to be destroyed. And Jesus says, if you destroy this temple, in 3 days, I'll raise it up again. Lo and behold, Jesus is the temple that they've always been hoping for. King David, Moses, Elijah, like all of these images of the Old Testament look forward to the coming of Jesus Christ. And so when we read the Old Testament, a lot of people think, man, it's boring, it's old, it's outdated, and maybe even irrelevant to us. No. Yes, it is boring. I'll admit that. There's some pieces of like Leviticus, hello. There's some pieces of it like the genealogies, hello. There's some pieces of it like the prophecies you just like spin your head around. I get it. It was a different culture in a different time. But if you don't understand the Old Testament leading up to Jesus, look, you don't have to understand it all, but you just need to see the big pieces of it. When you get the big pieces of it, you will worship Jesus more deeply. And so what we want to talk about is what are those big pieces that help us to see Jesus more clearly and worship him more fervently. And that is something worth talking about.